Yeah, so hello guys, hi, and welcome to part two of the climate change program. So, our focus is how we can combat climate change. And last time we talked about combating climate change in rural communities. This time around, we're going to focus on urban areas. Like I said before, the equation about how to combat climate change is equal to saying that, or is the same as saying that, how do we stop carbon dioxide emission? Now that the response can be split into two different parts. It's about how to absorb the already existing and excess, the already excess carbon dioxide existing in the atmosphere, and how do we stop carbon emission as well. So those are two different questions, and which requires two different strategies. So last time I talked about rural communities, how to engage rural communities towards combating climate change, and we named a lot of things, ranging from uh, deforestation, which is the major cost, but we talk about afforestation, which means uh, not cutting down trees and planting trees in areas where trees were not existing before. We also talk about reforestation, which means replacing or replanting trees in those areas where it has been cut before due to limited knowledge on the importance of tree as far as climate change is concerned. And so that is reforestation. So, and those are all solutions against deforestation, right? So, we also talk about circular economy as a strategy to reduce carbon emission and air pollution in our cities, which will also contribute greatly to the fight against climate change. We also talk about gender equality and the role of women in the rural communities. And we also we spoke about poverty elevation, uh, which is providing substitute alternative means for uh, people to earn money instead of focusing on deforestation for the sake of financial revenues or for the sake of economic improvement. So we elaborated on all those things, and today we'll talk about something else, something different. So uh, last time we talked about energy transition as well. So we talk about thermal energy, which is yeah, thermal energy, which is good but not absolutely good. It is all right, but it's not absolute because it still has its own side effect. We talk about biogas production as a substitute for fossil fuel. We talk about wind energy last time. We talk about solar panels or solar electronics, green transition. We spoke about that last time as a strategy. However, this time around, what is important to really note is energy infrastructures, green infrastructures. How do we transform all the energies infrastructures into green infrastructures, or uh, how do we come out? How do we introduce, not even introduce, how do we build green infrastructures, and what are the varieties of different forms of green infrastructures which is needed as a source for generating clean energy? So one is the thermal system, which is good but not 100%. It has its own pros as well. And two, we have the biogas production station or infrastructure, which is possible. It is, uh, it's likely to replace, and it's the most suitable one to replace fossil fuel. That one is good. And then we have the wind farm. We have the wind farm, we the wind energy farm. We have the solar plants as well. So those are green infrastructures which is required. We also have things like uh, solar cars or we have electronic, what we call electric car charging system or stations in our cities. So because if you introduce or if you intend to introduce electric cars in your city, you must make sure that those the charging system is available as well. And the charging system for those electric cars should be powered also by solar energy. It should not be powered by other energy sources, because otherwise it will be as if you are just doing the same thing all over again, using oil to wash your dresses, which is uh, really doing the same thing all over again. So green infrastructures is one thing to think about. How do we introduce green infrastructures in our town, since we know that cities are the highest polluters of carbon emission? Green infrastructures come into it, becomes a very vital uh, tool or infrastructure that should be installed in cities for the sake of energy generation, for energy. So green infrastructure is something to think about, and that is it. And now, to install green infrastructure, it's not just about not it's not it's not just about anybody who can do it. It's not just a job of a project manager. It's not about project management strategies like deliverables, stakeholders analysis, project execution, and project handover. No. It's not just. You have to be a project manager, and you also have to have a background knowledge of the subject matter, which means you have to be a sustainability project manager. However, I will put my email, should in case somebody is interested of implementing some of those strategies, you can contact me and I'll provide you vital information. It's not just about project management. You also have to have someone who can travel to wherever part in the world to get whatever equipment which is necessary for the installation of a green infrastructure in our cities. In all the cars, we have to start thinking about how to transform them into electric cars or into biogas, biocars. So we have to think about that. Now, one thing which is worth talking about as well is responsibilities. Whose responsibility is it? Is it the state's responsibility? Is it citizens' responsibility? And when it comes to the technical installation of green infrastructure, whose responsibility is this? It's very important. But all these ones, this question of responsibility and green infrastructures, these are professional questions which could be answered. But those ones is these are professional questions, and the strategies are also professional strategies, which you can contact me personally, and I will provide it to you. So, like I said, you need a professional, not just a project manager with a project with a certified project knowledge, but a project manager with a certified project knowledge, and also a background knowledge of the subject matter to be able to know what is needed at every given time and where to get what is needed. That is where we sustainability project managers we come in. But that's not the point for today. Those ones are professional questions. So, like we said today, we have talked about green infrastructures as one primary strategy. We've talked about responsibilities. Whose responsibility is it? Is it state? Is it everyone? So those are the things to think about. And next on the list is like when we talk about agro sustainability farming for the rural communities, we have to let me remind you that it has to do with integrating tree planting in your farming landscape, and it also has to do with also integrating cash crops in your farming landscape, and also using the appropriate manure, not going into fertilizer, but using like the compost biomanures in your landscape. So that's one thing to think about. And then some other thing which I want to emphasize when it comes to reforestation, we, that thing is very important. This is why I say it needs a project manager to execute this project, and not just a project manager, but someone with a background of the subject matter as well. Because uh, when it comes to reforestation, it's not just about reforestation. You must think about which tree is can absorb the highest amount of carbon dioxide. So, which tree and how to plant it and where to plant it. For example, you have mangroves, which are trees that absorb carbon dioxide. They live on carbon dioxide. Since I said the question is to absorb carbon dioxide and to stop using or to stop emitting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So absorbing carbon dioxide has to do with tree plantings, and not just trees, but trees that can absorb carbon dioxide. We have the baobab tree, which I proposed long time ago and is under research, and you also have the mangroves, which those are trees that can be planted close to in swamps and in riverbanks. Those trees can also help. It can absorb carbon dioxide to the greatest amount. So we have to look at it very carefully. And how do you plant it? Where do you plant it? Okay. Afforestation in our cities, for example, what are the trees that are needed in afforestation in our cities? We have to look on those things. It's not just about planting any tree, but what kind of tree and what is the lifespan of that tree, and what amount of carbon dioxide can it absorb. That's what we should be looking about, because like I said before, the question is not just about cutting, reducing carbon emission. The equation is also about absorbing the already trapped carbon emission found in our atmosphere. So it entails different things, but specifically two things: cutting carbon emission and also absorbing the already trapped carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. And this, to absorb it, it has to do more with trees, bioproducts that can absorb carbon dioxide and transform the carbon dioxide into bio waste. And those are trees like the mangroves trees, which I said, and baobab trees and other ones. And then the second question is, how do we stop carbon dioxide? How do we transit into clean energy? So it has to do now with all forms of green infrastructures for the purpose of producing green energies, like the wind, like the solar, like the thermal, like the bio production, biofuel, and so on. And there are a lot of it. And to install it, as I previously said, those are professional questions. You need people who are not just professionals, project managers, but project managers who also have a background in sustainability. However, I will put my email close to this video, and if anyone is interested in installing or to plant a green infrastructure in your various cities, I'm more than open to come in as your project manager, or we have a lot of collaborators who can do that, sometimes even voluntary. There are a lot of others who can do it voluntaries because we have a system that sponsors those projects. And if you want to employ them full time, you're also welcome to do that. So thank you guys very much for the day. I have a meeting, I have an appointment next in so next time we'll be talking detailedly about each of every one of those strategies. We'll be elaborating and pondering on them detailedly. Thank you guys very much, and take care. Bye bye.